Aren't these crazy times we're in? Just gonna give it a couple minutes, see if everybody's still here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while since I've sat down and done one of these videos. So, let's see. Dots, Chris, how the hell are you? Don't mind the noise. uh, see, every now and then, especially when you're in the public image. Smith family, how are you? Sometimes you gotta come on board and start laying out some things. You got so many new people coming on, things get a little twisted. Things are good. Don't worry. Things are good. If I seem like I'm slightly out of it, I barely woke up like 5 minutes ago. Hence the smooth jazz tone. Not so long ago. Go back to work tomorrow. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Day jobs may suck, but yeah. Should take the opportunity to acknowledge when you can be able to have one, you know? Yeah. Yes, I've seen your crystal mining photos. Looks like you got some pretty good samples there. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, please do remember if it seems like I'm not acknowledging certain chats or talking to people who aren't there, we utilize Streamlabs Talk Studio to multi-stream to several platforms all at once. With this puppy, we can do it as many different video channels as we want, so comes in handy. So, as I was saying earlier, as we gather up the troops, every now and then you got to step up and lay down the law a little bit, just because some people just like to get things twisted, don't they? You would think, shouldn't these people have a laugh sometimes? But I got to thinking, more often than not, you would find that your most honest critics are going to be in the strangers who try to take you down. And of course, with some of the circles I've been floating with lately, there's quite a few. And naturally, the ones who engage in this type of behavior, they usually don't pay attention to everything that's going on now, don't they? Or they cherry pick everything. But nevertheless, some very valid points were made. And I'm coming on here, simply have a little chat. And if anybody who catches this broadcast wants to ask any questions while we're on the air, feel free. I try to be an honest man. There's a couple different things. I want to get to today. First off, there's been some discussion in regards to our stand, my standing, in regards to certain, say, disclosure projects and all these paranormal stuff we like to get into. Simply because certain people realize that Bald and Bonkers is actually a legitimate business. Officially, we're recognized as sort of a media production company. What sorts of media? We have books, we have shows, we have radio podcasts. You didn't know about that part, did you? That's going to be something I elaborate. Because I've seen a few people try to insinuate that just because they start to realize who I am and heard about me through some of the interviews I've done, that all of a sudden I'm magically appearing. So I must be funded by some deep state trickery. God, I wish some days, you know? If that were the case, you think I'd be driving around in a 95 Cadillac? I probably would, but at least get some of the repairs it needs done, like an AC. With Bald and Bonkers, yes, it does seem like it goes everywhere. You could probably attribute that to its CEO's likely undiagnosed ADHD. Some family members of mine took DNA tests, and apparently, the genetic markers for ADHD behavior are prevalent. Would explain a hell of a lot. And I'll be honest, when I put it together, I've done what I could to basically absorb all the different projects I've been fortunate to be involved in. I know I may be only 27 years old and talk like I lived a lot more life than people who, you know, are old enough to be my grandparents. But not a lot of people realize I've actually been in the game since I was 14 years old, doing shows, publishing books. First time I was published was when I was 16. It's a true story. It was for a book called Hauntings from the Snake River Plain. It was a bit of an anthology series about hauntings in my area. The day I was actually interviewed for that was literally the day after my 16th birthday. How was I able to pull off all this stuff? Well, by the time I got into high school, I was 6'5", already shaving my head because roughly about 12, 13, 14, right as my height really started to kick in there. So when the hair loss started, I was a little bit self conscious about having the same hair pattern as my grandfather. So, why don't you grow a beard? Unfortunately, I have my father's facial hair patterns too, and it just comes in all patchy and ugly. Ooh. But anyway, what does any of this have to do with the for profits. Bozo the Clown, right? What does this have to do with anything about the for profit status of the company? Well, simply put, I do my best to try to remember the struggle. I probably can hear my cat trying to get my attention. I haven't taken her outside yet. Like I said, I just barely woke up before this in time to start this damn broadcast. Hussy. Anyway, I try to remember the struggle of getting your start, especially at such a young age. Maybe you had a job, but not exactly enough to really fund some of the equipments that gets involved in this type of thing. I relied heavily on presents from around Christmas time and birthdays, and the occasional bribery whenever I got stuck babysitting younger relatives. I did not like it all. Oh well. I'm probably going to be doing a lot more babysitting come this December. Got a little niece that's on the way over. I think it's a girl. We haven't had my sister hasn't gone to the appointment where she officially finds the gender. But okay, there's a little bit of a bet going on there. Anyway, back what I was saying. See, all over the place. I try, like I said, I try to remember how it is trying to get out there and do what you love when you don't exactly have an income source. Try to create resources. As much try to put out as much as we can available for free if possible. Say like the podcasts, the shows on YouTube where they get redistributed through like Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, basically every major podcasting platform. Bald and Bonkers somehow managed to get in there. But whenever there's been a physical like products, say we have like merch, um, there's a couple books that's under the Bald and Bonkers banner. There's music related stuff, things like that. Like I said, I when the company officially came together, I basically kind of absorbed everything I was already involved in under one banner. Figured that'd be the best way to go about it. So, as many people don't realize, there's actually resources available to help you get your content out. And with books in general, finally, a deal was able to be procured to where it's not going to cost you a damn thing to publish with us. Now, we do have some limitations. Bringing in illustrators and the necessary works to create like audiobooks. So, things like that are not readily available to us right now. That does require having to actually pay someone. It is something we are looking into for future use. I am stating this now. And nevertheless, if you have a book, it doesn't even have to really be supernatural related. If you have a book that you would like to try to get published, you don't want to have to worry about paying a bunch of money out the ass or wait for the long acceptance times that most platform publication companies have. And yet, process can take years in order to make it happen. Give us a shout because we have, like I said, we have a book distribution partner and we can get you out there for free. Costs nothing extra to you. Yes, there is a bit of a donation section when it comes to these admission forms. Submitting a donation does not guarantee your immediate acceptance. We're going to want to make sure that your book is actually publishable. We go for the completed manuscripts because we want to make sure people push through with what they say they do. You get a lot of people that they talk about doing these types of things but don't exactly follow through. We want to make sure that the people we help have the drive to follow through, knowing that they may not get big and famous. They may not, you know, be able to replace their income from their day job that they don't really care for. Believe me, I wish I was in that boat. But do it simply because it is something they truly want to do. Like with content creators, we have a little something for that too. We actually have a little bit of a membership, which, again, this part completely free if you want to take part in it. But you can get your content syndicated to the Bald and Bonkers TV network. What do you need to get started on that? Easy. If you have content hosted on YouTube, Vimeo, or Dailymotion, these are just the platforms the service is compatible with. This is to the technological bits that aren't really in our control. It's through our partner. If you have content on YouTube, Vimeo, Dailymotion, your videos are embeddable, meaning that you can take them and like put them on websites to play elsewhere. And there's not really any restrictions on YouTube's part. There isn't any restrictions, potential community guidelines, red flags. We all know how YouTube can be with those that essentially block your videos. That's all you need. That's it. If you already have that, you can run your shows through the Bonkers TV network. What it does, it generates a playlist through selected videos that are get added to it and runs it 24/7 like old school live TV. It's not like a streaming on demand platform like Netflix. That's coming down the line. What this does, it actually gives a chance of exposure. And you don't even have to promote everything else that's on there. The idea behind putting this together was, for one, I thought it would be kind of cool to have a constant playlist of Bald and Bonkers videos going for the website, which we do. Those of you who joined kind of late in the game but want to catch out the shows, like I said before, there isn't any, required order to listen to the shows. There isn't there was never really, like, except for a couple off situations where we kind of followed up on certain interviews. Say we had a major guest come on, and let's just say they just had so much incredible information that we needed to take a secondary show to just kind of follow up and process everything, which has happened on a few occasions. Unless it's a situation like that, but even then, all of our shows stand alone. We may reference other ones here and there. You're not missing out. You're not missing out. So if you want to catch up, see what's going on, TV Network's actually a really good place to do it because it's just sitting there, play the videos for you. I post a link on your screen now. Like I said, other ventures have been looped in. Say like Smith family brought up the example when it comes to like YouTube restrictions involving copyright material. There are resources out there where you can get some pretty incredible materials, whether it be stock footage, photos, even video effects, music, things of that nature. Say if you're involved in any sort of video editing and don't want to get flagged, well, you shouldn't. There's been a few situations where I think mostly on Facebook's end, yeah, Facebook, where the stuff, say like there's a song we used for a certain intro, where that song, even though it is cleared for other people to use it, gets flagged by the certain services because maybe another group already used it and somehow that the copyright got associated with them. It's a pain in the ass, trust me. I mean, for those of you who use the StreamYard, countdown, I've seen several instances where the music tied to that gets flagged for copyright, even though that's supposed to be readily available. It's a pain in the ass. So there's even a channel on the Bald and Bonkers TV network that has some of those songs available. And somebody asked me the other day, well, if all these people are running through the TV network, how are people going to be able to know who's who? But just like any other YouTube video, if they want to find out more about whoever created it, they can still click on the video, parts of the video itself, and be taken to that content creator's page. But at the same time, any smaller channels who are either just getting their start or just can't seem to find the traction can essentially piggyback off of more successful channels and share and share those audience. Participating in this gives you more odds of exposure, more odds of being found. And plus, for those of you who want to get access to like affiliate programs, but don't necessarily have the numbers to be accepted, or if there's certain, say, high profile guests that you want to try to have on your show, if you do like an interview based show, but they won't give time for any smaller platforms, this can help you cheat a little. Because with this program, the way we have ours and set up, it integrates with the rest of our partners platform that helps provide the service and gets you a potential exposure to an audience of over 90,000, which is a pretty good sized chunk. Again, yes, you may say that you're not in it for the money, you're not in it to get the fame, but let's just face it, it is a fact of how things work. It's just a matter of fact that that's just how the world works nowadays. If you're able to gain an audience, show that you're able to gain an audience, all these companies out there will give you access to more toys to play with. I mean, I just found out because Chris, if you're still watching, I know you made fun of a couple of the videos that came out from this, but one day I got bored and figured out how to make filters on TikTok and made a Mortal Kombat based one. And my phone has been blowing up for the last 48 hours because it started trending. Apparently, I found out that if you make enough filters and hit certain requirements, I think the number of videos that gets made with your filters, if it gets over 500,000 videos being made, you can actually make money from TikTok off of those filters. I just got the invite for it last night. I'm still like a little under 200,000. So we'll see. But that's a perfect example. And there's been individuals we talked about, say, like on the, we talked reference Dr. Stephen Greer's CE5. We've talked about trying to get Dr. Greer on a show. I know for a fact that he or someone in control of some of his accounts has scouted us out. I know this for a fact. So he is well aware we're out there. Right now, most of his communications to talk to the press have been cut off so he can focus on everything that's been going on. And if any of you caught the latest press conference, the man looked awful fucking nervous. So something is clearly up on his end. But I will say that it's probably a good idea that he gets a public, he might be a good idea he invest in at least a virtual address. And for those of you who don't know who that is, it's there's companies out there that offer like digital mail rooms where you don't have to send all the mail you get to your house. You can send it to them and they can just send you notifications on your phone of what comes in. It might be a good idea he invests in one of those because he can be found. That's all I will say. And that's something that many of you may have to look into if you start gaining traction because, like I said when they started, Second you gain traction, second you gain attention, there's gonna be people that are gonna try to pick you apart. And more often than not, even though they may have some honest critiques that could help you improve, they're usually just pretty miserable with their own lives. And they'll probably say, "Oh, Dakota's such full of shit. You know, he's working, blah, 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 blah." Some of them might try to make fun of the fact that I used a realistic eye template for the introduction and the thumbnail in this video. No, that's not insinuating anything. I just really like the design. That's all. Let's see what else. Of course, we also have music distribution services. So, any of you musicians out there, there's still fees associated with that. We're trying to work on getting some sort of deal put together, but again, we're still growing. Come this October, we're gonna have to do something special because it's going to be our 2-year anniversary since starting this madhouse. Remind you just how quick time flies when you're having fun, huh? All of these services that we put together, yes, there is a small for profit portion to it. We want to help as many people as we can. The goal is to establish a complete network of independent creatives that help each other grow. To basically show people that you don't have to have any major backing from suspicious CEOs. I mean, I can be suspicious at times. You don't have to have any major backing from any major media corporation and compromise anything that you believe in just to make your dreams happen. But Dakota, how the hell did you get the Bonkers show everywhere? Simple. It's called research and a little bit of creativity. Because actually, believe it or not, you can have any shows you produce put out to every single major podcasting platform for less than what some of y'all spend on a daily Starbucks run. Called you for the smokers out there. Probably based on the prices I see here in the US, I know the Aussies are pretty steep for just about everything. The cost of what it takes to put out shows to all these different platforms costs less than 3 packs of cigarettes based on the prices I've seen over where I live. I don't smoke, it's just giving that as an example. It's actually very easy to do. In fact, say you use a platform like Streamlabs, Talk Studio, StreamYard, Restream. God, people can should come up with some more creative names. Or any of the other platform that serves the basic function of this, you're already off to a good start. Because you can link just about any video distribution platform to these. If you use like Streamlabs Talk Studio, one of the fancy bits is that you can stream live to as many different platforms as you want all at once. Why did we do that? Well, when Chris and I first started this shindig, we had issues with individuals trying to get us to compromise our moral standing and tried to shut down our operation. Even when we announced that we were starting to break off and do our own little thing, they tried to harm us. They weren't very effective. But again, going back to what I said earlier to the people who try to take you down, chances are they're already pretty miserable about something in their situation. Do I still feel resentment towards them? No. Well, then why do you keep bringing it up? Because I acknowledge the truth of what happened. And yeah, there's been a lot of shit that's gone down. There's a slight Q&A that's going to be towards the end of this. And I'm going to elaborate on a couple things. But anyway, back to what the streaming platform. I went ahead and put in a referral link for anybody who's interested in getting this. Right now, it's $19 a month to use Streamlabs Talk Studio. And they have a bit of a deal going on. Don't know how long it's going to last, but you can get what they call their Ultra package and actually get apps to turn your videos into like TikToks and Instagram reels to share them out, transcription services that understand Chris's accent. I don't know, people. I don't think people realize how important that is. I would always say, if you want to have a little fun, turn on the automatic caption on YouTube. Go to a very Scottish creator and watch the captions. Try to understand what that person is saying. And I say this with love, but because they know very well that it happens. Well, I was rather impressed that the transcription services could actually understand what Chris said. And he's probably flipping me off right now, but he knows damn well it's true. Oh, man. But it comes real handy if you have someone who either has a fairly strong accent or say like it's Robert Kennedy and he has I can't remember the exact scientific name for it, but he may have some sort of throat condition that affects how they speak. So certain individuals may be harder to understand. It's helpful to have, especially if when you want to start trying to accommodate people who are hard of hearing and things of that nature. It's a good way to have everybody feel included. Plus, if you're a gamer, they got options for that too. So you can link up your Streamlabs account to your Xbox and stream directly from your Xbox. Me personally, I prefer the use of a capture card, but to each their own. When you get done with your recordings and that, I mean, you can set up your own intros. You can make your own logos using Streamlabs. They have all the tools right there you would need. And say you would get done. You'll say, okay, Dakota, how do I get it onto like Amazon Music? Well, to start you off for free, you may want to look at a service that Spotify offers, which used to be called Anchor, but they switched some stuff up around. It's still free. Some of you may have heard of a service called Anchor, which is basically a podcast distribution platform. And you don't have to pay any money on that. It's now referred to as Spotify for podcasters. And when you have an account on there, it can help you set up your distribution for Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Oh, hi Haley. Don't worry. We're getting to trust me. I'm seeing the chat. I'm just trying not to get too distracted. Anyway, like I said, you can go on to iHeartRadio. See now with iHeartRadio, you have to have content going back at least 6 months in order to be accepted with them. I'm just noting that right now. That gets you to several different platforms just by downloading the audio, which this gives you an option to from here. Say like from Streamlabs, StreamYard does it too. I'm sure Restream does it as well. You can take the audio or even the video. Spotify added a feature not too long ago where you can release video podcasts. But if someone's driving, obviously they don't need to be looking at their phone while they're driving. Tell that to some of the young kids that almost hit me the other day. The video will still be turned into audio. Another platform that I use called Liberated Syndication or Libsyn. This is a paid service, but the prices aren't really that bad. With Libsyn, you can get monetized, make a little extra money on there as well. They just released an audio studio. It makes the process a little bit longer, but you can actually cheat and use their built-in audio studio to upload any audio recordings you may have and actually have it not count towards a memory limit. So take advantage of that before they figure out that someone found a loophole. Sorry. Libsyn is one of those services. It gets you out to even more platforms. But it is one of those where you might have a memory limit and they have different plans for different functions. So if you're just looking to get your podcast out there and make it several times harder for any parties to try to take you down, this is a good way to go about it. So like I said, if you utilize the built-in audio studio with Libsyn, it doesn't count towards your memory limits. The process takes a little bit longer for the processing on their end. But they'll send you an email update when everything's ready, so you can add the information about the episode and put it on air. That's it. That's all I do. I also use websites like Acast and Red Circle. Both of those are free to use as well. They have their own. All of these websites may have their own little technical limitations, but once you become familiar with the process enough, you can make it to where everything fits across all platforms and just focus on what's important is getting your message out there. You can even link up some of these services actually let you link it up to YouTube channels, and they'll automatically turn your podcasts into videos. So if you want to again link up to the Bonkers TV network, there's a form that I put in the chat not too long ago, just head to the website and click on the part where it says join us to find out more information. You can link up the videos that get made from your podcast to there and still get shared out. With everything that's out there, ladies and gentlemen, it is easier than ever to make your dreams happen. You just have to fucking follow through. That's it. And Bald and Bonkers, we get it. We're in the middle of that struggle right now. We're trying to fix up the damn monetization on the main YouTube channel, but YouTube won't tell me what's wrong. Ugh. People wonder why I'm bald. I had hair before I came to Earth. What's up? Easier than ever to make things happen. And Bald Bunkers will help you with that. If you have a complete manuscript, we'll help you design covers. We'll help you get your book formatted to where it goes out on like Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books and all those ebook services. Because there's a special way you gotta format it, and it's a pain in the ass. I'll say it. It's a pain in the ass, but well worth it. And as far as the royalties, we'll take about 10-20% off your own royalties, but you keep everything else. All of the copyright for anything you distribute through Bald and Bonkers stays with you. It's still your work. We're not going to take it away from you. All we're doing is helping you get it out there and help you get it marketed. Because if you do well enough, we can get you featured in Times Square. But if you also like to do podcasts, you could get a little bit of the Hollywood treatment for free. What do I mean by that? Did you know Bald and Bonkers is listed on IMDb? Mm-hmm. So anyone who's ever been on our show, you can find them on. They have their own little IMDb pages, which came in handy for some small-time actors who were looking to get their start. When I released a trailer for a documentary that I may have to scrap and repurpose. I'll get into that here in a minute. Sorry, I just saw a question in the chat. Haley, I'll be honest. I don't. Here, I'll just put the question up on screen. So because there's a couple different platforms that chats don't exactly go through. So, Haley, I'll be completely honest. I don't really play around with Max all that much. But it'll be all right. Don't worry about it. The format's pretty universal, and by the time we get to the part where you're getting it formatted for publication, it's going to look entirely different. There's a pretty good chance it's going to look entirely different. Okay? So don't stress over that. Do yourself a favor. Don't stress over that. Focus on achieving the easiest and the hardest thing about writing a book, which is writing the book. Speaking of the IMDb and book writing, if you publish anything through us, we'll land you an interview spot on the main Bald and Bonkers show. And you're probably wondering, well, Dakota, why is that important? Did you know that because of all these streaming platforms, Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, all them, that award shows and IMDb reconsidered their criteria for what content gets submitted. And with IMDb, if you're able to check off enough boxes, say like the production company, what country the show is produced in, things of that nature, you can actually get shows that are produced strictly on YouTube channels on there. But how? There's a bit of an annoying submission process, but it costs nothing to do it. Anyone can do it. And with everybody who's not already on IMDb, say like those of us, say like me, or for example, who have already been involved in movies, TV shows, that creates a free IMDb page. In order to get like your photo on there, you need an IMDb Pro subscription, which is about $150 a year, if I remember correctly. But you can still add enough info, say like websites, links to your books. You can use IMDb, a company that is owned by Amazon, for free marketing. In fact, if you Google Bald and Bonkers right now, one of the first things that'll pop up is our IMDb. That's a little way for some of y'all to cheat on there. You don't have to pay for that advertising to be seen there. Amazon does it for you. But the important thing is that you keep going. Yes, life happens. You know, some of us have kids to raise, bills to pay. We may have medical emergencies that come up, family emergencies. Sometimes life gets in the way. And that's fine. It happens to everybody, especially where the 2020s have been so chaotic. We shouldn't really be focusing on putting down other people's situations. We shouldn't really be giving any sort of attention to it as long as that individual isn't hurting anybody in the process. Simple as that. If that individual's not hurting anybody with how they live their life, why should you care? Why should you care that they're wanting to do this thing and this thing and that thing? It's completely understandable that you might get jealous. For some reason, some people just take off quicker than others. There's no real way to quantify it, figure out how to push it without potentially compromising yourself. And that can be a little intimidating. Some people are just flat out misinformed that these things are impossible, that their only purpose in life is to get a 9 to 5, get married, have kids, and die. The human experience is so much more than that. So why not live life? Doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what condition you're in. Just live life. And maybe, say, like, for those of you who try to say that there's no way a 27-year-old could have the experience that he has is just because he's so young, maybe you would actually be able to see what life is really about. I would like to see Bald and Bonkers become a platform where people genuinely help each other out, make dreams happen. Why is it that we offer support for celebrities who don't even know us, but criticize our loved ones who try to take on some sort of entrepreneurial avenues? You want to know something I've found truly strange? People are more likely to believe stories of hauntings, alien abductions, seeing unknown creatures out in the wilderness, than if somebody had the chance to audition for a major film, to own company stocks, maybe even get to meet some of their favorite celebrities outside of conventions or happenstance passes in the street. Isn't that a little odd? We're not exactly sure if the things we consider ghosts are ghosts when you really think about it. The ghosts sometimes don't identify themselves as ghosts. They say that they're beings from alternate realities, kind of like the ghost scene from the movie Interstellar. Never thought I'd reference a Matthew McConaughey movie in regards to that, but hey, you never know. And as far as like with unknown creatures, say like Bigfoot, abominable snow lamb, puckwudgies. That one's for you, Christina. Unknown animals are being discovered all the time. Do they have some sort of interdimensional qualities to them? Maybe. Certainly enough weird phenomenon around the Sasquatch to consider it as a possibility. And as far as with alien invasion, well, just look at how weird some 2020s have been to where alien invasion is being considered as a strong likelihood at this point. Granted, that goes into fear mongering and all of that, but nevertheless, look at the insanity that the 2020s have brought us. Just even towards the end of 2019. Think of how many things have been considered impossible, have been shown to been happening all along. Isn't that proof? Shouldn't that be proof enough for some of y'all to pull your heads out your butts and get to work? Many of the celebrities that we probably imagine, these high profile individuals, many of them are more than happy to share their knowledge, share what they know. And on a cosmic spiritual level, if you want to go that far, the universe, creation, source, God, whatever you want to call it, it wants to help you. But it also doesn't want you on your ass the entire time either. If people without arms can figure out how to play guitar, work computers to design NASCAR racing, what's your excuse? There was a conversation I was getting into last night. Got into how the trauma affects the brain. How sometimes it just fires off without reason. Yeah, you may have had some seriously messed up shit happen to you. You may be going through something right now. Maybe a relative passed away. Maybe there's a bit of a slight fear that you're feeling because a loved one got some bad news and you realize they may not be around. Maybe you got out of an abusive relationship. Whatever the case may be. If you truly looked at everyone who decides to become something more, chances are you're going to see that there is a damn good reason why they don't back down. So for some of y'all, maybe you should actually take the time to get to know a person, reach out, ask questions, be respectful in those manners. Actually reach out to someone, have a conversation with them, see what they're all about before you pass judgment. Something I would honestly like to ask, and I know a lot of you would probably agree with me on this one. Dr. Greer saying that out of all the life in the universe, assholes only exist on Earth. Now, I get the impression that he's trying to make sure people go into these sessions with a positive mentality. That this is a just a poorly executed way of doing it. One of my business, a couple of my business partners, they told me a story about their mentor, who, mind you, was both CIA and as NSA at some point in his career. Just being in this man's presence, you could feel he has seen some shit. He makes a very valid point, though. Something he always tries to tell people is that if you feel that something is about to go wrong, just fucking say it. If you have any sort of inclination or if something gone wrong, just come out and say it. So that right away, his exact words, chances are he's going to be a hell of a lot more pissed off if he has to find out about it for himself instead of having some sort of warning. Because his mentality, simply put, if you spot that something can go wrong, acknowledge that something has gone wrong, you can immediately start taking steps to course correct. You can immediately take steps to fix the situation and move on better and stronger than before. And right now, where a lot of us tend to utilize social media or any form of internet to try to connect with like-minded individuals we just can't seem to find in our own backyard. That's something we should really take into consideration. I had someone messaging me not too long ago asking me, what do I think about the drama that's going on? We have to realize that in certain circles, especially anything supernatural related, meaning ghosts, UFOs, cryptozoology, things like that, chances are the people that get attracted to these sort of subjects were outcasts in some way or another in their own life. Bullied at school, families didn't believe them. Maybe some people had situations go as far as being put into an asylum by their loved ones because they didn't believe them. I've seen it happen. And unfortunately, not just because, say, little Susie is saying she sees dead people, but there's been instances where families try to cover up situations of abuse by institutionalizing the victim that cried out for help. And the reason why I bring up that specific example is because, yes, in PC culture, it may get hard to not offend somebody. You're going to offend somebody doing doing what it is you love. That's just simply how it's going to be. And maybe you're a lot like me. You tend to push the envelope a little bit. It's been brought to my attention that a slight dyslexia joke I made towards Chris offended somebody. Now, yeah, you can call me an insensitive prick. Understandable. But with Chris, one, that was a way for me to test how some technical issues that was going on, because if I knew he saw it, then his situation may not be been as bad as what we thought. But in the same light, Chris and I, yeah, we may have we're maybe coming up on 2 years since we started this, but we've been working together and we've been friends for, I'd say, almost three now. Three going on 4 years. Honestly, think of the man as a brother. As much as we sometimes butt heads and make fun of each other, I think of the man as a brother, even though we've never met in person. Funny how that works out, huh? So, yes, while Chris and I have butted heads from time to time, and yes, I know, suspiciously, we look like we could actually be brothers. As see right there, Smith family knows they've been around in the game for a pretty while, for a while. But yeah, but that's just dumb guys being dumb guys. We know each other's. We've been around a part of each other's lives long enough. We know where certain boundaries not to cross. And if we do, we know it's not with malice. Because again, we actually took the time to get to know one another. So yeah, if my dyslexia remark upset you, I have a fairly good idea. I do believe I know who it was, just because of the language that was used. Yes, but it didn't matter. The remark was not made to degrade. If anything, people with dyslexia may have some certain advantages that other people don't. The neurotypical, as they would say. Yes, letters might get a little jumbled inside their head. There are certain fonts you can actually download for your computer to that for some reason don't trigger it. It's interesting, but nevertheless, more often than not, again, like I said, anybody who pursues what they do in life and maybe has a specific quirks about doing how they do things, chances are they have a good reason. Take time to actually get to know what's going on. Get to know what the other person is about before you judge them. I've been seeing that a lot. And and I'll say it. I know I've allowed myself to get involved in the heat in the moment and blow up. The most recent example, yeah, I'm not taking that one back because that the anti-Semitic, homophobic remarks that were coming out of that prick. Yeah, he's got one hell of an ass whooping that he clearly didn't learn from. But in the same light, if you know someone is out just to purposely stir trouble, harming people, stand your ground. You may not like to fight, but unfortunately, as Dots puts so eloquently, assholes are just everywhere. And the fact that we have allowed ourselves to be subservient to certain matters, unfortunately, some very corrupt individuals have taken advantage of that. And they're still around. Why do you think sociopaths are often some of the most successful people in the world? Yeah, there's ones that didn't go anywhere that are the average deadbeat, couldn't even hold a janitorial job because they're so screwed up. But why do you think CEOs can sometimes fit in the same psychological profile as serial killers? Because they don't focus on what other people think. They don't necessarily care. They can care. It's just that their drive is different. Smith Family makes a very good point when it comes to like dyslexia and people with ADHD. They had to cope with the world around them. And let's face it, we're in a world that wants to drug everybody who shows something different about them. There are teachers these days that just don't care about the kids. And if a child actually goes to act up, you know, because either something's going on with that child and that child needs help but doesn't know how to ask for it, or that child is just not paying attention because they're bored in class, they get drugged, turn them into mindless zombies. When honestly, see, like people with dyslexia, ADHD, autism, they could be some of the most intelligent motherfuckers in the world. Some of them just haven't quite figured out how to gain their ropes. But as I said before, so many different resources are out there nowadays because of people who have actually taken time to try to understand the situations at hand and offer up some sort of solutions that they may not be the best. I'm not dogging on anybody who has to take medication. If you have to absolutely take meds, then you do what you got to do. And I mean, um, do what it is to make sure that it's not selfish to take care of yourself. You got to still be able to take care of yourself to some extent, even if you want to go out and help others. You got to make sure your engine's running before you start driving off to save the day. Just got to remember that. 'Cause more often than not, yes, social media has offered an opportunity for people to connect with like-minded people they probably wouldn't find otherwise. But in the same light, to quote Tommy Lee Jones in the first Men in Black movie, the person is smart, people are dumb. Mob mentality is a very real thing. And unfortunately, people choose to be stupid when they're in groups. They rely on social cues from other individuals. That's why Facebook is so filled with so much drama. And why do people like to stir up drama? Because it boosts numbers. Two quickest ways to gain a following: drama and sex. And I'm not that pretty. I'm better looking than Chris, but hey. uh, Chris may have the accent, but I have the looks. Somebody in the chat's gonna try to dog on me on that. And that's okay. There's people that get bothered by the fact that I like to laugh and joke. That's just my way of trying to process everything. Because as some i- individuals kind of pointed out, I can be kind of all over the place. Someone was critiquing on the ET wife situation. I think it's because, yes, I do bounce around, but they're not really paying attention to exactly what was going on. Chris looks better. Oh, ooh, you did not just say that, Chad. uh, as far as the ET wife situation, you have to understand this does involve essentially a past life situation. The situation where Elena validated that Thorhan and I knew each other. I approached her at first through private email because I knew she was having issues with people, and she's someone I have a lot of love and respect for. I didn't want her to think that I was trying to dog her over. Sure, Chad. Technically, I am the past life. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure those terms even qualify in my case, but I'm weird. You have to realize when it comes to the whole ET family situation, yes, that does involve some past life matters. The individual I refer to as my wife, that was just the term she used to explain how we knew each other. There was someone who asked me if I've written a book detailing about my encounters. And they seem to be off put by the fact that I said not really. Let me elaborate on that. Yes, I've written a book about some of my encounters, but I do try to have some sort of understanding about what I'm talking about before I say it. If I have some new information come in, I want to try to make sure that it's legitimate, that I know what I'm looking at, and I understand enough about it to be able to present it. I wrote about my ET. There is a book. It's called see if I have a copy within reach here. Here it is. Here's one of them. It's not the latest edition, but for those of you who want to look at it, look it up on Amazon or anything. That book was meant to be sort of a mental health aid for me. The idea was to publish. Actually, why am I putting it away? I'm going to show what I'm talking about. Basically, write a series of letters to myself during points of change where certain things happened that essentially affected my outlook on life and how I became who I am. Yes, I noted that there have been some likely ET related incidents, but this was written way before the latest information came forward. This was written way before Elena and I ever met. And yes, I do reference the fact that her work a lot because when I first came across her book, A Gift from the Stars, I don't like to use the term resonate just because basically the number of people that justify it, that try to use that term to justify how they just want to be an ass to somebody for no apparent reason. But there was a familiarity when it came to reading Elena's book that the only other time I've ever had that sort of feeling, excuse me, allergies. The only time I ever had that sort of feeling come up was when I ended up finding one of my long lost sisters. Short version of that story is that shortly after my father went to prison, I was told that there was a strong likelihood I had at least one other sister out there. And there were several instances throughout life that kind of indicated that my father held a lot of secrets. Nothing exotic like being in the CIA or anything like that. That would make the situation a little bit more, a little easier to deal with, especially because I just found out of something else. But we're not going to go into that here. The instance that was kind of a dead giveaway that my father may have had other children that he didn't want known because he didn't want to have to, I imagine, probably didn't want to have to shell out for child support, was when my stepmother tried to give one of my sisters a name that she thought was my father's favorite name for a girl. So, say you're say you're with a partner, you guys decide to have, or else you will have to kill us. I promise it's nothing. If there's any like CIA in my family, I don't know about it. I mean, there's some police, some prison guards, but that's about it. Anyway, like I said, let's say, if you're with someone, you have a kid, they mention that they have a particular favorite name for, say, like a boy or girl, and you try to get that child name, and all of a sudden they try to shut it down. Kind of suspicious. Because as it turns out, he already had a daughter by that name who was in my class. Dun, dun, dun. Talk about a Days of Our Lives event. Shortly after I was told that I had another sister, about it literally played out like a movie. Well, that was suspicious. Oh, you can't make this shit up. I'm here. I'm high. Uh, I don't know what the hell happened. My computer literally just turned itself off. It's like, one of the fucking cats in here just do that. But anyway, like I said, when it came to my long lost sister, when I went to school the next day, our math teacher rearranged seats conveniently. My sister and I ended up getting seated next to each other. I realized there was too much that overlapped. That and even people who saw us together realized that she looked like if I went trans. Simply, that's what they said. We were in high school. Dumb remarks got said like that all the time. My God. Anyway, I asked my stepmom the situation, and yeah, turns out that was one of my long lost sisters. Now, mind you, I don't. I try to respect my siblings' privacy because a lot of them are still underage. One, but and I know Chris has actually gotten confused about this if he's still here because I don't really specify names. But if you ever hear me talking about my siblings, remember I'm the oldest. I have 11 sisters and 6 brothers. Only one of my sisters is the same mom, different dad. All the rest are same dad, different mom. Zzz. And no, not from previous marriages. Like I just said, my younger sister that I ended up finding is only 2 months younger than me. So there's several situations that go on with that. But anyway, like I said, when in regards to Elena, the last, like I said, the last time I felt any sort of familiarity, it reminded me a lot of that. Are Chris and I related? Well, apparently he has a relative who married into some distant cousins of mine. But as far as him and I physically being related, it's possible. So for those of you who still don't believe that we're not brothers, we're not. The dynamic between us is that he has a niece who's about my age, and I have an uncle who's about his age. So that's kind of how the dynamic between us works. And I have been writing more about, say, Maria goes is asking, what do I think about the UFO stuff going on? Short answer is I think something big is about to happen. Yes, I've written about my encounters, but the majority of it was this. I wrote about the incident when I was about 4 or 5 years old, where somehow I ended up 30 miles away from where I went to bed. Thankfully, in my grandparents' house, a lot of people ask, how do you know your mom just didn't drop you off while I was asleep? Well, my mother fully admits that because I was so damn big, she didn't like carrying me around after I got to a certain age. And I'm just going to put it this way: you don't exactly forget hearing your mother screaming, freaking out, thinking that you've been kidnapped. If she dropped me off, just didn't, which happened, I got dropped off with my grandparents a lot because of our work schedule. Has my daughter come down to visit? Yeah, actually, Maria. I know it's been a while since you kind of popped on, but I actually have 3 kids from outer space. My wife, she comes from a planet near Sirius B. She's a bit taller. She's a bit tall for people from that planet. But I actually, not too long ago, a few months back, got taken to go essentially visit my in laws. It's my understanding, and Elena's the one that pointed out, that marriages on Starside are kind of like some weird soul contracts. Yes, they are. Yes, it is. There is a marriage ceremony, but there's something to it that binds the physical souls together. So those of you who are getting this, yeah, technically this body is technically single. However, the essence, the soul, mind you, if I'm understanding things correctly, I'm willing to make that distinction. I'm willing to admit that I may be wrong in all this. I'm trying to be objective to make sure I don't stick too close to any sort of narratives and end up getting blindsided. That's mostly just paranoia on my part. But I do have a wife, but the ceremonies up there are very different. It's literal soul mates. And that story in itself is something that probably get me flagged by YouTube censors if I went into the excruciating detail that I recall. Because yes, I found out I was going back to the situation where found out that I knew Thor Han. I recalled that I worked with someone who matched his description. This is how I approached it. And I'm addressing this because it's been brought to my attention. Apparently, they tried to warn me about a month ago that a group that's kind of at odds with some of the people that I've been associating with. I'm staying in Switzerland. I don't have time for high school drama BS. I just want to focus on work. Focus on the mission, as Alex Collier says. I was notified about a month ago, but for some reason didn't see the message until recently that a certain group has been bringing some of my stuff into question. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this broadcast now. Not to, scream, call them idiots, not that, but to elaborate, because I know damn well that I have not done a very good job keeping record of all this. And ever since the interview I did with Tony Rodriguez, I've been trying to compile everything to get it into an actual timeline of events to understand the situation a lot better. So it can be later turned into a book that I plan on calling I Know You Won't Believe Me. Have a little fun with the skepticism. Which brings me into my next point. Some of you may have seen the see if I have it saved here. See, I'm horribly disorganized. Some of you may have seen a bit of a notice of a new little project I want to put together. Okay. When it comes to the latest UFO news, it's beyond a reasonable doubt that something is happening. Even the most closed-minded people are having to step back and reconsider quite a few things. It's pretty obvious that something is happening. Exactly what? We may not know. A majority of the global elite we try to claim are suppressing this information, which is pretty obvious that they hide shit. I've seen some of it for myself with my law enforcement contacts, but trust me, that's some pretty gruesome info that didn't need to be getting into the public too soon. Otherwise, people would have gone mad, gone paranoid. It's trust me. But in the same light, we have a lot of people with military background, intelligence community, the recent whistleblower protection that Congress enacted to try to understand what's going on and try to protect the people that come forward in the event malicious parties try to take them out. Yes, this stuff does happen. It is well known. If you don't believe me, look up the CIA efforts in the Philippines by using the being known as the Aswang. It's essentially a vampiric type of bat. The short version of the story is the CIA wanted to gain influence within the Philippines. So in order to do it, they took advantage of the locals' fear of what is essentially a vampiric bat, murdered innocent people, made it look like they were drained of their blood by some sort of vampire, and used the fear to gain control. That's how it happened. So, while I guess the military disclosure coming forward is useful, what about everybody else? What about the average Joes that maybe they did have some military service, they weren't anything too special, and saw some strange lights in the sky that their commanding officers were told to ignore? What about the people that were just walking down the street one day and saw a weird thing in the sky? What about the people that have been nervous about coming forward because anytime, hey, fuck off. That train sounded a little too close. What about the people that have been afraid to come forward because they fear that they're going to be judged or they can't handle some of the skepticisms? What about them? Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Civilian Disclosure Project. What is the goal of this? It's to get the average person, the people, the 99 percenters, if you will, a chance to help push for further disclosure on a united front. To have people actually come together who had experienced something. Tell their story and demand answers. If we go to show that it's not just some crazy rednecks seeing these things, but it's people from all walks of life, pressure that information out into the public. Utilize all the resources we have at Bonkers' disposal to get this information out there as far and as wide as possible. We push the disclosure narrative even further. Help people just tell their story, say that there's something wrong. So, what's the process going to be behind this? Whether you're comfortable doing a live interview or want to schedule a private one on one, maybe get my thoughts on your situation. If you would like, I'm more than happy to try to help where I can. Give people a chance to have a platform where they can share their story without judgment and offer a fair and level platform for people to try to suggest what may actually be going on as well. We're going to conduct a series of interviews. And for those of you who've been around with us for a while now, know that we've been trying to get a documentary off the ground. May recall from earlier in this broadcast where I mentioned that that project may have to be reworked a bit to better acclimate to the current climate. I would also like to put all these stories into a bit of an anthology book. We'll call it We Are Light Ascension to the Age of Space. And will be filled with true stories from everyone who's willing to participate. Chris had the idea because he mostly tries to copy what everybody else does, thinking that it's going to help him grow, to create a separate YouTube channel to where we can focus more of our UFO based topics. Yes, that's been done, but for some reason YouTube's fighting me on it. So that's why we also have the Bald Bunkers TV network, where a new channel has recently been added called CDP TV. He had an idea. Yeah. It wasn't a bad one. Got into thinking about it, but I thought we could potentially kick it up a notch. Give our own unique spin on it. What I went ahead and did is create a new channel on the Bald and Bonkers TV network, which anybody can access for free. Not a paid subscription, anything like that. You know, even if you don't want to watch it for paranormal based content, there's gaming videos on there, there's music on there. And like I said before, you're more than welcome to submit your own content. I'm just going to pull it up real quick here. Show you all what's going on. Share screen. Window. Is it up for you guys? Oh, come on. Don't be a hag. There we are. Look. Bald and Bunkers TV. So you have Unity TV, Gamers, Bonker Cinema. We have some movies on there. CDB, C, I almost said CBT. No, why did it come up like that? But we have a special channel set up with all of our UFO based content where you can catch all of those interviews and also be a dedicated space for anybody who comes forward and shares their story on the Bald and Bonkers platform. Simple as that. We're going to get these stories out there. There's people on the official front working their end. It's time for the public to actually come together and do their part. Because that's exactly what they're afraid of. The public all coming together, realizing, hey, we can actually make some stuff happen. They'll be scared. Do you realize how much would happen if people from every sort of background actually shut up, sit down, and talk? What would happen? Yes, infiltration efforts happen. It happens all the time. It's well documented that people try to insert, little spies. Most of the time, people that act as the spies were just curious as to what the hell's actually going on in the first place. So, when you really think about it, those who try to stir up shit, they only really help you. Someone made a remark that ever since they were first told about Bald and Bonkers, now they see us everywhere. Guess what? That's how search engines work. You know how they say you have a certain conversation about something, you maybe even just randomly thought about something, not even think about it. You just say you, I don't know, run out of cat litter one day, and all of a sudden you see advertisements for cat litter pop up all over your socials. The more you stalk the pages you claim to hate, the more you talk about certain groups, the more you're actually feeding into their public image and actually helping them. So thank you, haters. Love you. And yeah, trust me, I'm gonna be working on getting my stuff better put together. And I hope you enjoy it. And I hope that whatever is going on in your life that makes you feel the way you feel to just talk shit about people that you don't even know, I hope it reaches a happy ending soon. Simple as that. Because unfortunately, if people aren't willing to make the effort to change, there's no effort in really wasting the effort trying to make them. Like I said, beautiful things can happen if you actually put in the effort to make them happen. And every now and then, you might just get a stroke of dumb luck. So, I believe that is all I had for you today. Be sure to catch up on the shows this weekend. We are looking to book some guests, try to, you know, help get the brand going a bit. Or if you would like to share your story on Bald and Bonkers, please feel free to reach out. Oh man, there's been some of you who try to stir up hate. That would have been more than happy to have sit down and have a one-on-one with. Maybe help promote your business. But nevertheless, it's okay. You focus on what you got to do. And why does it look like there's a third eye trying to form in my forehead? Oh, that's trippy. See what I mean? Not that hard to shake me off course. But hey, we're human. It's all the part of the experience. And yes, while times are going to get rough for a lot of people, truly amazing things are on the horizon. Much love. See y'all next time.